Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have a top 10 video for you. I am going to be ranking my favorite guilds of Ravnica from least favorite to most favorite for Commander. Now bear in mind, this is an absolutely subjective list. I'm just going to be talking about my personal preferences based on what kind of commanders I like and what I like to play. So feel free to let me know in the comment section below what your favorite guilds are and what your favorite colors are in general for playing Commander. So without further ado, let's get started with number 10. And for me, number 10 is Selesnya, green and white. I've just never really been able to get into what Selesnya wants to be doing, whether it be making tokens or just going wide or having really big creatures. It's just not really something that particularly interests me. Additionally, I find that most Selesnya commanders are all about the same thing. It's very difficult to find Selesnya commanders that are doing stuff that doesn't have to do with pumping boards or making tokens or making your creatures bigger. I just want something more out of this color, and I really like commanders that are outside the box. So for me, it's just a color combination that doesn't really appeal to me very much at all. At number 9, we have Azorius, which is blue and white. This is a very controlling color combination. I personally don't hate that, but it does suffer a little from some of the issues that Selesnya has. I feel like a lot of the commanders are very samey, and they all promote a very kind of reactive or controlling kind of game plan, which is not always what I'm interested in doing. In Commander, my favorite thing to do is build around a synergy and make these huge bold plays and force my opponents to react and not be so much just reacting to what they might be doing. So for me, this is kind of a bit of a no-no. I don't dislike it as much as Selesnya, and there are a couple of times that I've built Azorius decks, but it's just not for me really. Next up at number 8, we have Gruul, and this is a surprising one because I actually really enjoy both green and red separately. I think they're two of my favorite colors. But when they're combined, I find that most of the commanders that are this color identity are again super linear and super boring. They're either making your creatures really big, dumping huge creatures, or just doing very straightforward stuff that doesn't really allow me to build around them very much. There have been a couple in the last few sets that are starting to break away from that mold a little bit, so I'm pretty happy with that. But so far, I really haven't found one that has completely drawn me into it that much. I just don't enjoy making heaps and heaps of mana and just dumping huge dumb creatures that much. Sometimes it's nice, but I wouldn't really like to be doing it consistently or building around that theme. Next up, we have number 7, which is Boros, white and red. A few years ago, I would have put this way further down the list, but in the last few sets, there have been so many unique and cool different Boros commanders that are kind of taking the color pair into all sorts of different places. You have Queen Kyla, you have the Reconstructor, the one that brings back artifacts from the graveyard. You have all these different unique angles that you can build Boros into rather than make guys an attack, which was the traditional role of Boros in pretty much every commander. So I'm super excited about these changes. It's still fairly low on the list because I feel like it still needs a lot more support, and it is still one of the weaker color combinations in terms of cards you have access to. But I'm really enjoying the fact that Wizards is being more bold with Boros, and I hope they'll start doing the same thing with Selesnya as well, because I think it's a bit stagnant. And moving on, we come to number 6. Number 6 for me is Dimir, the blue-black guild. I love both of these colors in Commander. Blue and black are two of my favorite ones because they have very unique commanders, and Dimir does have some cool stuff going on for it. There are some cool commanders that I enjoy here, like ninjas or spell matters kind of commanders, or stuff with flashback. We have stealing synergies. We have all these kind of interesting things that you can build around. So it's a guild that I'm interested in. It's just there are so many other guilds that do things in a more interesting way for me that I have it kind of mid-tier. I enjoy Dimir. I'll play it now and then, and it's always fun when I do, but it's not a guild that keeps pulling me back or where the commanders just kind of like pull me into it really hard. At number 5, we have Orzhov, and now we're starting to get to where it's really difficult to rank them because I really like all of them quite a lot. Orzhov is black and white, and that really does pigeonhole it a little bit into aristocrats. A lot of Orzhov strategies are focused around life gain or creatures dying and stuff like that. I still really enjoy them though. I find like I really like aristocrats gameplay, even though I don't think it's super strong these days in Commander. At least in my meta, I always seem to lose when I play it. But Orzhov is starting to get towards the kind of gameplay I like in Commander, which is gaining incremental advantages, spinning my wheels, doing kind of synergy stuff, playing bad cards that work much better together. That's exactly what I love to be doing in Commander, and Orzhov is already hinting at that direction, but there are still guilds that do it better. At number 4, we have Rakdos. This is one of my first loves. The red-black color combination is one of the first decks I tried when I started playing Magic, and I just really liked it from the start. I'm a red player at heart. I love turning things sideways and attacking, and Rakdos does that, but it doesn't do it as straightforwardly as Boros does it. There's still a lot of variety within Rakdos decks. You can go for Punisher decks, you can go for token decks, you can go for sacrifice decks, direct damage decks, burn decks, all sorts of different things that you can do, and I really enjoy that variety. There's a lot of commanders that are really, really cool, and a lot of ones in the recent sets have been kind of pushing the envelope even further, such as Tor Wauki the Younger. I just really, really enjoy Rakdos as a color combination, and the backstory for Rakdos is also hilarious. Of course, you have this guild that are just mad entertainers that are basically trying to kill everyone. It's pretty cool. We're heading into the top 3 now, and these have been very, very difficult to rank, but for me, my third favorite guild is it the Red and Blue Guild? Or is it? I love this guild because there are so many cool, different out-of-the-box commanders that you can play here. There are so many different kind of synergies that you can go for. Obviously, Spellslinger is the main one, but then you have all these other weird, quirky commanders with unique abilities. I've been really enjoying Myra lately from Infinity. It's completely different to anything I've played before, even though it's still technically a Spellslinger deck. Broodedclad, of course, is one of my favorite decks. It was the first deck tech I made on this channel. There's just so many cool things that you can find with Izzet commanders, and that's because of Izzet's backstory as well. They're the mad scientists of Ravnica. They're the ones that kind of always try to do things differently and let their imagination run free. And that was also made very clear when the Prismari came out in Strixhaven as well. So yeah, this is a really, really cool guild. Lots of unique commanders and lots of wheel spinning effects and ways to gain incremental advantages, which is what I really like. At number 2, just losing out to number 1, although it's incredibly close, we have Golgari, the black-green color combination. And for me, Golgari embodies some of the favorite things I like doing in Commander, like dirtling and gaining edges here and there, and recycling stuff, using stuff again, making sure I can change zones with cards, putting things into the graveyard, putting things from the graveyard into exile or into play. I just love this. This is why the Gitrog monster is one of my favorite commanders of all time. And one of my favorite cards ever is Life from the Loan, which just perfectly embodies to me what Golgari is all about. Recycling and reusing things to gain minor advantages that just build up over time. Not only that, but they also have some of the most unique commanders in the last few sets. They've been kind of branching out a lot as well. You have Koth the Lion, which I think is really cool. You have Grist the Hunger Tide that can make this completely out of the box insect deck. The Most Dangerous Gamer is another one I've been enjoying recently, and it's really, really fun. And you have really, really strong stuff like Chatterfang, where you can just build a really, really competitive token deck based around squirrels. You have all of these different ways, but they all somewhat revolve around gaining edges through small incremental advantages, and I really, really like that about Golgari. So that's why I've got it at number 2. But my number 1 most favorite guild for Commander is Simic, the blue-green guild. I just love this guild. There's just so much going on here. There's just so many commanders that are very different from one another, and even though a lot of them focus on stuff like counters or tokens, there's actually a million different directions you can go with this, and they're all really outside of the box and force you to build radically different decks, which is what I really, really love about Simic. Again, they're a guild that is focused around wacky creatures and wacky science, so it's unsurprising maybe that they have all of these combo-ish interactions. As a Johnny player, I just love this guild. Morel of the Hullclade was one of my favorite commanders for a long time. Right now, I've just put my Emoti deck back together, and it's probably the most fun deck I ever built because I felt like I really built it myself, and I found all of these interactions that made her really, really strong. But there's not only that, there's so many other ways that you could go for Simic, and it's also an incredibly strong color combination, arguably the strongest in Commander, because it offers so much value, even if you kind of build a fairly normal deck. So that is why Simic is my favorite color combination for Commander. What's yours? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, please click like or subscribe. I'm currently growing the channel and it would really help me a lot. And until next time, take care.